there. Boom. Okay, running it back. Here we go. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Friday afternoon. We got another KFTV and Bleacher Report simulcast. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. We got to get it back together, man. After last couple of nights have been pretty rough. So on today's show, we're going to talk about how the Knicks stop this free fall. How do we regain ground and get back to our winning ways? And plus, we are going to rank the potential playoff opponents for the New York Knicks, man. Joining me today, friend of the program, from when we last spoke, he now has his own wing in the Yahoo Sports department here. His own wing called Uncrowned. Very proud of him. Shout out to my guy, Ariel Helwani, the host of the Ariel Helwani Show, is in the building, man. So lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. The Discord is open if you want to call us up. And let's get to it, man. Happy Friday to Knicks Nation. Let's go. Here we go, man. All right, man. Welcome back, man. How you feeling?
CP, my guy, it's good to be here. I'm going to view this as a bit of a therapy session.
Yes.
Perhaps for me and for you,
yes,
and for anyone out there watching or listening. Tough times, but we got to lock in. We got to turn the corner. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to get to. No one said it was going to be easy, CP. No one said it was going to be easy, all right?
It wasn't pretty, but it was gritty. This is what I say, man. You know what I mean? But in all seriousness, it's always good to have you on because we always seem to have these shows at like some sort of inflection point at some point of the season. So this is very timely that we have this here. And so, you have a Knicks team, 13 games left. They go out on the road, back-to-back nights, blowouts against two tanking teams in San Antonio and the Charlotte Hornets. Complete washouts. What was your reaction to the past two nights, man?
Okay, so first, let me just ask you. I just realized that I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi. Is my Wi-Fi bad? Should I switch, or is it okay?
You look good right now. I mean, if anything changes, we can always reset.
This is upsetting for me, but it always kind of kicks in. It sometimes goes to the wrong one.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
if it changes, just let me know, and I will fix it.
No problem.
So there's a lot. Obviously, the first thing that we have to talk about is the fact that Jalen isn't there, right? So the fact that the captain isn't there, our best player isn't there, that's a huge thing. Like, we can't just dismiss that. Now, that being said, when you're playing the Spurs without their best player, their best players, and you're playing the Hornets with or without their best players, you got to win those games. Yeah. However, then you have to talk about, all right, what are we dealing with here? They were just on this 2-week road trip. They come home for one game, and then they go back to the South, and then they go to Charlotte on a back-to-back. Like, who came up with this schedule? Again, everyone has to deal with this stuff, but it's catching us in a period where we don't have Jalen. It's the end of the season. People are tired. People are banged up. There's a lot of things working against us here, and so that's why I'm not necessarily like some of the other fans that I know that you've been dealing with over the last 24 hours, thinking that the sky is falling. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are upsetting. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are concerning, but now's not the time to jump off. Look, it's not – you could jump off. You could say we need to do X, Y, and Z in July, in August, in June. Now's the time, if you're a fan, to be like, this is the squad. This is what we have. I say this, by the way, as a guy who was – I'm a diehard Bills fan as well. And this actually reminds me of the Bills – earlier this year, where they hit a bit of a rough patch towards the end of the season. And I was saying to myself, people were talking about McDermott should be fired, Tibbs should be fired, this guy, that guy. Not the time for that. Not the time. This is the squad. We got to ride with them, and let's see how it plays out.
And look, this is what I say to the fans on a nightly basis or after every loss, because they're like, you're not coming hard down on the coach enough. You're not calling out the coach enough. And that's my reply, man. It's like, the coach is not going to get fired right now. No coach has ever gotten fired this deep into the season. We can talk about the offseason when the offseason comes.
Right.
From the top down, from Dolan on down to the fans, everybody knows who this guy is. He's not an enigma. You know his weaknesses. Doesn't mean it's justified, but we know what we're dealing with here. So for me, I just can't beat that dead horse every single night. The coach, because this is what we have. This is the coach that we have. This is the roster that we have. However, I was looking for what I was looking for last night. After Hart comes out and talks about being tired after the Spurs game, you have the backdrop of the Bridges fiasco the week before that. They're obviously tired. They're obviously mentally, physically tired. The last time I was on my Bleacher Report show, I said, the San Antonio game should be a win. However, based on how they're traveling, I wonder what they're going to have mentally and physically. They showed it out there on the court. So going into Charlotte last night, I'm looking for the coach to extend the bench a little bit. Maybe that's, wishful thinking, but I'm like, man, these guys are clearly weary. Extend the bench a little bit. But yet and still, he goes 8-man rotation. The bench is still horrible, and you have the result that you have.
So when I say that there are things that you can't change, like the coach, you can't make transactions, things like that, that's the truth. But the thing to me that's most concerning about all of this is the heart, the grit, the fire from the players who are playing. We can have the conversation, should the bench be extended? We can have the conversation, should Kolek be playing more and all this stuff. But what's concerning, the most concerning thing for me is the grit, the heart, the want. You know what I mean? And that's something that Josh Hart spoke of in the postgame. Now, I've heard this speech from Josh before, and sometimes you wonder, is he talking to someone in particular? Is he talking to the team? He talks about himself very openly. He's very hard on himself. He has done this. I mean, I remember when he did it in the preseason. Right. And he's like, I couldn't make a shot. And he was like, nah, I was just doing that for you guys. All good. I figured it out. And Tibbs clearly has him. Clearly has his back. But to me, it's like, where's the fire? Where's the grit? I was worried about the Hornets game for two reasons. Number one, back-to-back, all the travel. But I still have PTSD from that Hornets game the day after Thanksgiving. You remember that one?
Yeah.
How we had to dig down deep to beat the Hornets back then?
Yep.
And it was a little concerning back then in November. And so, look, I'm someone who laments. I think about last year. I still miss Isaiah.
Me too, man.
I miss Devo. I miss the fire. I miss the grit. We all love those 90s Knicks. And you say, where is that? Where is that fight? How could you let Draymond do this? On and on and on. I think they'll clean it up. I think they'll find it. And remember, we are missing the heart and soul of the team. We are missing one of the most clutch players in the league. We are missing our leader. We are missing our captain. If you didn't think that he was valuable, if you didn't think that he was that guy, what do you say now? As he goes, we go. And he's not there, and we're struggling.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get him back soon. Lord knows we need him.
Everything in his absence is glaring for this team when it comes to generating offense for himself and for others, when it comes to the clutch play, the leadership. How many times when he was healthy and he's won them those games and he just has that never say die attitude. And when they don't play well, he holds himself accountable, comes back and kicks ass the next game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Carries them on his back.
Carries them.
Does whatever needs to. Yeah. There's this one thing, like they take him out now in the final seconds of a game for defensive purposes, and you just know, like the look on his face, he is not happy about that. He doesn't like it. He does it because he's a team player, but no superstar, no leader, no captain wants to be put in that position. No one wants to be viewed as the weak link, and I love that about him. I love his fight. I love how much he cares. I love how much it means to him to be a New York Knick. I love how much he wants to win. He is a winner. He's won, every step of the way up until the pros. And so we can't forget that. Obviously, this is exposing some issues. And initially, when he got hurt, I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe the silver lining here is Bridges has to step up a little more. McBride has to step up a little more. Maybe there's a silver lining here where these guys will get their confidence up, and then he comes in, and now we're firing on all cylinders. Clearly, that's not the case as of right now. I don't think the road trip wasn't the worst in the world. Obviously, we got lucky. Not lucky, but you beat the Blazers at the buzzer. Okay, God bless. You lose to some better teams. The Warriors game really bugged me. That was a very winnable game. That was a very winnable game.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that happened with Draymond was very upsetting.
Yeah.
But I thought they came back and responded well in the end against Miami. I stress in the end because the beginning of that game was horrendous.
12-0, they're down.
It was horrendous, but they figured it out, and it seemed like the vibes were good, and I was like, all right, we're going to go to San Antonio. But we've always had fits in San Antonio. We've always had problems. No matter who's on those damn teams, we always have problems in San Antonio. Every single damn time. Yeah. I remember, wasn't it last year, the double overtime game, or was that 2 years ago?
That was when Brunson dropped 60.
Yes, we always have trouble in San Antonio, no matter what. It's the curse of 99 or something. So we'll be okay. We'll be okay. We got to beat freaking Washington. That's for sure. We got to beat Washington. Golly, I'll
absolutely
be just
have
impressed.
to, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. CP the Fanchise, Ariel Helwani in the building. YouTube, Bleacher Report. We're live on Instagram as well. Twitter, X, Facebook. Salute to everybody on the. If you guys are at work, man, throw a hashtag grind in the chat, and we will shout you guys out. I want to shout out a Fanchise channel member, big time fan of the show, Pops the Legend. He drops a $5 super chat. He says, CP, I've been out dealing with some health issues, but still in it for all 82. So everybody in the chat, man, let's big up our guy, Pops the Legend. Wish him a speedy recovery. And hopefully these Knicks will, give him a little bit of joy after these last 2 days. And when we speak on Hart, he's key, man. Because when we speak about what's remaining of the grit, if you call it that, it's him. It ends with him. And so if he doesn't have it, it speaks to the bigger issue, man. They're mentally and physically fatigued. And that's why I'm like, these guys need a spell. Because they're locked into the third. I could see in the beginning of the season, I was defending it. The guy wants to get his team in a rhythm. It's a new team. You play the guys, whatever the case may be. Right now, they're locked in the third seed. They're not going to slide. And even if they did slide to 4, they'll still be fine and get home court advantage for that first round.
You feel that's a foregone conclusion? I could see. I mean, what are we, 3 up on the Pacers?
They are. I got to double check the standings.
I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable. And sometimes I try to convince myself, hey, maybe it's better to be the 4 seed so that we can avoid Detroit. I don't know.
They're 3 up on the Pacers for 4. They're 4 up on the Bucks. But what I mean is, even if they slide to 4.
Yeah,
I think we're still okay. I don't even mind that, to be honest with you.
What do you prefer, 3 or 4?
Well, we're gonna get to that when we rank our
opponents.
Okay. We'll get to that in a little segue. But the point is, I think they can afford a night off. Hart needs a reset. He needs a recalibration. Cat needs a reset. OG, with that foot and his injury history, I'd be very, very leery about how I'm using him, especially on these back-to-backs. I like how they're treating Mitchell Robinson and keeping him out on one of those back-to-backs. Like, you want him to be as fresh and healthy as he can in the playoffs. And as you see, his impact on the Knicks defense has been immense. What do you make of Tibbs going to the 8-man rotation yesterday and the clear indication that Kolek and these guys, they're not going to play?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been here before. It's disappointing because I really like TK. I like everything about him. He's a pure point guard. He every time he comes in there, he's aggressive. He's making things happen. McBride campaign, it's been fine, but we need something. And sometimes, like, these are the moments where you can find out who's who. And so, yeah, again, as I was saying, I was thinking, like, all right, maybe the silver lining here is that some of these guys would get an opportunity. Unfortunately, Huck Porty gets his opportunity, he gets injured. That sucked. But look, I got into an argument with someone about this recently, and I was like, all right, could we just be honest? Like, how good is our bench?
They're terrible.
How good is the bench? Like, we cry about the bench, right? But, like, who's the elite guy? Who's the elite proven guy on this bench that isn't getting some floor time? Who is it?
Not a single person. But when Brunson comes back, it will be McBride, but not a single person after that.
Yeah, and he gets his minutes. It's not like we got some dude sitting there who's like, come on, man, like, give this guy a shot. Like TJ Warren, like, give him a shot. He's gonna score 53 points. He's not there. And there's no, like, I went to the Thunder game in January, and that to me, like, really, it really exemplified just how thin we are on the bench, because they're coming out there. And they've got a dude named, like, Isaiah Joe that I never even heard of.
Lit us up, man.
He's like scoring like 35 points in the first half.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's this guy? And by the way, they were missing Chet Holmgren. They were missing Alex Caruso. And look at what they did to us on our home court. Like, we like to talk about the bench. We like to talk about the short rotation. But who's that guy?
Yeah.
As much as I love TK, I would love to see him play. Are things going to be dramatically different if he's in there? I'm not really so sure. No. I'm not really so sure. There's a certain fight. There's a certain heart. There's a certain grit. There's a certain something that's missing. I remember last year, like, Hartenstein gets in Miles Turner's face and like, you don't mess with my guys. Where is that?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to. I'm not like these other guys who want to pick on. Like, I live and breathe this team. I love this team. But I felt deflated after that Warriors game because I wanted someone to stick up for Cat. Someone. And that to me, if we're gonna, who knows what's gonna happen in April and May, but if there's gonna be like an indelible image of this season, if things don't work out the way we want them to work out, it's gonna be that. It's gonna be that closing shot of him walking out and the rest of the team dapping him up. That would never happen in the 90s. And again, I'm not, as my kids like to say, unk status. I'm not trying to be that guy, but like that would never happen in the 90s. Yeah. Never. It would never freaking happen. And there's no reason why it shouldn't happen now either.
The Hartenstein loss was it continues to expose this team from his play, his grit, the two-way effort, his IQ, the leadership. It's a big loss. I mean, look at how he helped carry Oklahoma City's defense without Chet Holmgren for more than half the season. They had the number one defense with Hartenstein manning the helm. So that's how important he was. And that was a great luxury that the Knicks had, where even when Mitchell Robinson wasn't around, you had Hartenstein be able to step up in his absence, and they didn't skip a beat. You could even argue that sometimes they were even better with Hartenstein in that role. So, they just don't have the depth on the bench this year. And we knew that coming in. Like, once they made the Towns trade, they went from arguably having the best bench in the league to, without question, having the worst bench in the league. And I think, at least speaking for me, that this was going to be a top-heavy roster, top-heavy starting five who can't afford to have Brunson or Towns or Anunoby or any one of these guys be out for an extended amount of time and be able to recover because the bench is not there. But what I'm looking for at this moment in time, knowing that, look, I'm not looking for Kolek to be the savior. Obviously, he's clearly not ready to make an immediate impact here. We just need minutes. We need minutes eaters right now because, bring in Dottie, even though Dottier's overmatched all the time. He's not even doing all that well in the G League. Beauchamp, we need minutes eaters right now for these final 13, man. Just a couple of minutes to give these guys a break.
100%, especially after the long road trip. I'm seeing GG in the chat. He's saying, stop talking about the 90s, give it up. You don't understand. I'm not praying for Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason and John Starks to reemerge. But what I'm trying to tell you is, like, there was a mindset. Those guys weren't the most talented guys, but they fought.
Surprise.
And they stood up for each other. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that back. There's nothing wrong with trying to express that, like, hey, that's why we fell in love with those guys. They weren't superstars. They weren't all NBA, but they freaking fought. They had each other's back, and they didn't let people roll all over them. Speaking of rolling, like the Trae Young thing, again, like, these are just signs that happened throughout the year where it was like, where's the pride? Where's the fight? This can't be tolerated. And I would like to think that they hear this. I would like to think that they recognize this. Like, I like this team. I will always support the Knicks. I will always back the Knicks, but it's just like, you want them to go down swinging. You want them to go down with a fight. And it just feels like they're not doing that right now. And again, we recognize that Jalen isn't there, and there's been some deficiencies, and Bridges has had his moments, but it hasn't been great, and Cat's great on offense, but maybe not so much on defense. I know all these things, but freaking fight, man. Like, look at people like to clown on Isaiah Stewart, but, like, at least that dude freaking fights. I'll take Isaiah Stewart on this team any day. Come on, man. Look, when you're against him, you're like, this guy's a clown, but I want that guy on my team. And Isaiah was that guy for us. And by the way, Dante was that little bulldog for us too.
True.
Dante didn't back down as well. And that's a culture. And I want to ask you this, like, there was that period in, it was a few months ago not a few months ago, maybe like a month and a half or so ago, when Josh Hart was talking about, like, not being selfish and whatnot. And then people were thinking, is he talking about OG? What's going on? You remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
And then yesterday, there's this, and then there's the no backing up Cat stuff. And I'm starting to think, like, how we were all talking about the vibes. Oh, man, the vibes, Nova Knicks, all this stuff. Like, is there something going on here? Like, are the vibes maybe not what we thought they were? Why does it seem like there's sometimes subliminal messages going on? Like, what's happening? Do you know what I mean? Are you picking up on any of this?
I think the pressure and the expectations are happening, man.
Yeah.
I've been saying the pressure's busting pipes, man. These are guys, especially Hart. He's on Twitter. He's in the arena with us. So he hears the jeers. He hears the doubts. He's reading everything. He's watching everything. Certain people, Brunson can handle it. Bridges, we could tell he got exposed a little bit. So Bridges is learning how to wear that jersey, the heaviest jersey in the league. Hart's been on a honeymoon with this team for the last 3 years. And now, as he's kind of struggling a little bit, I think it's wearing on a lot of these guys. But as you said, maybe, I don't know who he was speaking to directly with the ego comment. He tried to say he's just speaking in general terms. Some people assumed it was OG. I'm not so sure. Maybe it is OG. Maybe it's McCall, It's hard to say, man.
Yeah, but just that stuff you don't always see on like the top tier teams. Look, roll on the playoffs. I want to see how this goes. I'm not necessarily afraid. Like, we can hang with the Celtics. I believe it. Call me crazy. I believe it. We can hang with the Cavs. Call me crazy. I believe it. But not this version of the team. Like, not this is a fractured version. Obviously, if Jalen's not there, you're like, come on. Yeah. We don't really have a chance. But this is a talented team, and we all believed at the beginning of the season that this was a talented team. And so let's figure it out. There's 17 games left?
I believe it's 13.
13 games left. So, we got some time. Obviously, we need Jalen back. And by the way, again, I'm trying to convince myself, maybe there's a silver lining. Maybe Jalen's not beating up his body now, and he's going to be even fresher come the playoffs. Maybe this is a good thing. These are all the things that I try to convince myself. Yeah. But come this offseason, if we're trending in the direction that we're currently trending, there's going to be some hard questions to be asked. And it starts with the coaching staff, and it goes down to the guys that we brought in, and especially the two guys that we brought in this offseason. Like, there's going to be some hard questions. The part that is kind of like gnawing at me is that at the end of last season, despite the fact that it ended so disappointing and unceremoniously, Game 7 at home, we all thought that we could win that series. It felt like everything was there. We had the picks, we had the crew, we had the core, we had all this stuff, and it feels like some of that magic has dissipated, and that's the part that bums me out. Like, I just hope that we didn't.
Do you have buyer's remorse? You have buyer's remorse in these trades now?
I don't want to. I'm trying. Like, I think it's very important as Knicks fans and as media and stuff. Like, I don't want to buy into the narratives. I hate when I go on these other sites and it's like, LOL, Knicks, 5 picks for Bridges, all that stuff. But if I could keep it real, I would be lying if I didn't say, like, man, 5 picks, man, Dante. Like, but then I say to myself, all right, Mitch came back, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago? We would have had Precious as our starting center if we didn't make that trade.
That's right.
It would have been Precious and Randall, right? Where would we be? Right. We would not have 40-something wins right now if that was the case.
Yeah, Hartenstein would still be gone.
Hartenstein would still be gone.
He'd still be gone.
That's still the one that hurts the most. So, buyer's remorse, I don't know. I'd like to believe, and I'm not a big, believer in, like, hold on to the draft picks forever. Like, who cares, man? I'm getting old. I want to see them win once. Yeah. And so if they felt like that was the move, that was the move. But there's just something, there's like a certain magical element that just right this moment doesn't appear to be there.
It's not there. Well, these big blockbuster trades have consequences, especially in this second apron era. And once they made that cat trade, the bench was going to be a major issue. And now, if they're going to, it was kind of like, because people are like, why'd you make these trades if you're not a clear contender just yet? And the way I look at it is they reshuffled the deck a little bit to raise their potential to get there. Julius wasn't taking them there. Despite what fans want to think, Julius and Jalen alone were not going to take them there. You need more star power to get it done. And they try to raise it with Towns, but now the difficulty becomes, how do they round out the rest of this thing? With that minimum contracts, with the tax exemptions, however much they're going to have, can they go get another backup point guard and maybe another wing? They definitely need another wing, another defensive-minded wing. Do these draft picks help next year? Like a Kevin McCullers Jr., he just dropped a triple-double in the G League. Does he have potential? Huck Porty. Dottier's very important. He's a project when they drafted him, but him in the future years, like, he's going to be very important in this build. So that's how they're going to end up having to get better. And that's how you're ultimately going to see the ceiling with this team. But the problem is that when they gutted this team now, you double down on the Tibbs weakness, which is not playing your bench. And so now we're here in March. These guys are physically and mentally exhausted. He's not going to these guys. The guys that you do have there on the bench are absolutely useless between Payne, Shamet, and Precious. So the issue's a little bit compounded. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This time next year, is Tibbs the coach of this team?
If they are maintaining a top 3 pace, I believe so. But if they flame out again in the playoffs, I think he's gone.
Meaning, if they flame out this season, like this offseason,
it would have to take like a sweep at the hands of like the Pistons, I think, before they're like, oh man, we really got to get this guy out of here. I think he has afforded himself one more year with a better depth. Leon has to get him better depth.
Yeah.
And guys that he can play. Like nobody's after Landry Shamet, man. Let's keep it real. We've seen him in the preseason. We're like, oh man, this guy, maybe he's got something left. The guy's been washed since he's been with the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Again, just to make the comparison to the Bills, like there's a thinking, like McDermott took them as far as they could. Remember, Dwayne Casey with the Raptors, right? He wins Coach of the Year, but he kept losing to the Cavs. They needed a radical change. Now, of course, they acquire Kawhi. That's a pretty damn big change, but they needed a new voice. Yeah. And so there is a part of me that's starting to think now, like, is it time for that radical change? I don't know. I don't think he's been given enough time. I still think that there's a few more years left, but I'm not the players. I don't know what's falling on deaf ears or not. But it's just amazing because I really truly in my heart believed at the end of last season we come back, we make a couple moves, like we're a playoff contender. There's no one in the West that like there's no big bad like Michael Jordan team out there, right?
Right.
There's no one that terrifies me. There's great team. Yeah, there's no dynasty. There's no Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs out there. Like, it's open, right? It's open. Yeah. Last year, I thought was open. Obviously, the injuries were a huge problem. I just want to see that fight, man. I just want to see that fight. I just want to see that grit. And that's the part that hurts the most right now.
The thing is that what's different from the Dwayne Casey, and, you would know better than me in terms of what his relationship was like with Ujiri and those guys. When this trio, because I call it a trio, if you listen to the Dolan Roommates podcast, and Dolan says West, Leon, and Tibbs built the plan. Yeah, he said, and the coach built the plan. Leon and Tibbs are locked in together. So unless, and also on the Roommates pod, listen, and people say anything, obviously, but he talked about having patience with the process. He's trusting Leon with the process. So unless he comes down from the top and is just like, you know what, we gotta press the button. I just don't see. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know anything. I don't know everything. That's just my opinion. I think he gets one more chance, and then they look to do a reset. Now, if they did it this season,
I feel the same.
I wouldn't be mad if they did it this season. I wouldn't be mad if they did it yesterday. But that's just my opinion. I think because of the relationship, they'll give him another chance.
I feel the same way. And again, important to remember there were some awful coaches that coached this team not that long ago. And so 100%. I'm very thankful and grateful. And I believe they're going to turn this around in the next 13 games. Like, I believe at some point, I always kind of felt like Brunson's only going to come back with like a week to go. So none of this is like terribly concerning. But these are prideful players. I don't think they're just going to roll over here. And we have the talent to be a lot more competitive than we are. I think we will go into the playoffs. I don't think we'll go in limping. I think we'll go with some confidence. And I think it's just maybe it's changing what our expectations are. My initial feeling was Eastern Conference Finals. Now I think I'll be happy with a second round appearance. Now that's not great. We've had a few of those over the last couple of years. I was hoping for Eastern Conference or beyond, but my worry is losing the first round and the whole thing gets, then maybe Tibbs is gone. Yeah. And I'm still a defender of his. Are there things that make me question? Are there things that make me upset? Are there things that make me want to bang my head against the wall? Yes, but I still think he's one of the best coaches in the league, and I still think you could do a hell of a lot worse than him.
Yeah, it's fixable, man. Because what I've seen, especially in these last two games, is the defense has been trash, and that's effort. That's hustle. That's effort. I was there at the game on Monday. They forced Miami into 20 turnovers. The effort was there. Mitchell Robinson was there, most importantly.
Yeah.
So the defensive lapses, letting guys leak out in transition plays, that's just been bad effort and not being locked in and not being on the same page. But to me, that's based on their fatigue. They're checked out of these games, unfortunately. But all of that is fixable. With some rest, you get a week off. The season ends on the 13th. You come back the 19th to 20th for game 1 of the playoffs. You get the captain back. You have Mitchell Robinson back. There are no back-to-backs in the playoffs. You're starting the first 2 games at home. Hopefully, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. So that's the reset, and that's why I think this thing is fixable. You're going to get your reinforcements back. You're going to get your rest to catch up and recalibrate. It's about the effort, man. The talent is there. The effort just has not been consistent.
You remember Game 7 last year and that scene where Josh and Jalen got out of the car and high-fived all the fans.
Yeah.
And Jalen's post-game saying that like we didn't accomplish our goal, and freaking Tyrese Halliburton showing up with the sweatshirt and all that stuff. I just remember thinking to myself like, man, April, May seems so far away, 2025, and we're here.
We're here already.
And I can't believe we're in this position.
Yeah.
Because I would have told myself, I swore to myself, I was like, there's no way we are going to be the beast next year. There's no way. And this is before Bridges and this is before Cat. And that's the part that I'm like, golly, I can't believe we're in a weaker spot than we were in this time last year. How did this happen? But I still believe. You got to believe. Got to. And I guess that's the part. There are different types of fans out there. There are skies falling fans. There are just like hopeless romantic fans, and I try to be that one because it's no fun being the other way.
I can't do the skies falling thing, man. I'm all 82, man. I've been all 82 for the last 8 years. That's just not in my blood. I dissect the season. I'll do the autopsy when the season is finished. But until then, I'm locked in with the team. We back in the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
Towels waving. I'll be at the Garden game 1 with my towel and everything. I'm ready, man.
It's crazy. Sometimes I have to remind myself that we're the 3rd seed with, 40, what is it, 44, 45? What are we at?
They are,
wins.
I just closed the standings. Hang on. The Eastern Conference standings. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. They are 43 and 26. 43.
Yeah, it's wild, right? It's like the most painful 43 and 3rd seed of all time.
100%.
And I don't want to do that thing where it's like, oh, we would have done anything to have this type of season back in 07, 08, 09, 10, whatever. But golly, it has been a grind of a season, right? Like it has been tough sledding
from the first game on, man. Shout out to the Rhyme Animal Chuck D in the building, Ariel. $10 super chat,
legend.
franchise channel member as well. I don't know if you saw the end of that San Antonio game. San Antonio, they had Flavor Flav as like part of their like whole entertainment. They shooting the T-shirts in the crowd, and then when the guy, I don't want to butcher his name, I don't remember his name. When he went off for 34 points in their interview on their post game, Flavor Flav jumps on him. They're all celebrating like they won the championship. So Chuck says, crazy story Flav told me about the San Antonio game, how all that happened was nuts. He says, as for us, game 1, round 1 is the only reveal of this team's identity. This is the new locked area for the Knicks.
Yep. Listen, by the way, shout out to the freaking you got Chuck D in the chat.
Right, he doesn't miss a show, man. The Rhyme Animal doesn't miss a show, man. Yeah,
hardcore fan.
Yeah.
Absolute living legend. That's incredible. The Garden will be rocking in April. We just have to get there, and we just have to get the confidence back. And I know these are sort of like things that you can't really touch, but you know what? Maybe it's better that way. Maybe like we have the players, we have the pieces, we have talent.
Yeah.
The bench is the bench, but that starting 5, if healthy, should be able to win games in the playoffs.
With McBride and Mitch coming off the bench.
Yes.
And maybe another guy, whoever you could trust on that given night. Who knows? Because, Precious, Shamet, and Payne combined for a whopping 3 for 16 last night against the Hornets.
What happened to Precious?
Precious is lost in the sauce, man.
What happened to him? Where's the confidence,
where's the
man?
Effort? He's another effort guy.
Yeah.
Precious was an effort guy. Now he's completely checked out. I don't know what happened to him. The effort's not there. The smarts are like he's not doing anything right.
New contract? How long was that deal? 2 years?
No, 1 year. 1 year.
1 year?
He could be gone. $6 million.
Yeah, I mean, horrible year for him. Gets injured, and then it just hasn't quite been the same.
Yeah.
Rare flashes early on. We haven't had much Mitch and Jalen time. We had the Memphis game was great. What a win that was. Like, remember those vibes not that long ago on the
Yeah.
road in Memphis against a great team? What a freaking win that was.
They're there, man.
There's
They're
no
there.
reason. There's no reason why we can't be that
There's
team.
no
There's
reason
no
why we
reason.
can't be that team.
Don't forget, Jalen isn't there. You can't just dismiss this.
Right.
Jalen Brunson is not there. He is gigantic. Like, you can't replace that guy. You can't replace that heart. You can't replace that skill. You can't replace that clutch gene. So I get it. I get it. The sky's falling. I get it's depressing. It's been very depressing this week.
Yeah.
I had to turn it off in the third quarter. My son, he's a Knicks fan. God bless him. But he's also a LaMelo Ball fan for some reason. And he was kind of getting excited at some of those threes. He was going like this. I was like, what are you doing? Get out of here.
You mentioned that, man. I'm watching dinner. I put little man to sleep. I'm watching dinner on the League Pass. And my sister and my niece and nephews are down there. And, they tell me they're going to the game, boom, boom, boom. I'm thinking they're pulling up a Knicks gear. Lo and behold, I'm watching on the League Pass. Who do I see in the fourth quarter catching T-shirts? But my two nephews, and one of them with a Buzz City jersey on.
Nah.
I was floored. Didn't even have
Born
his
in New York?
No, he wasn't. But he's been up here plenty of times. He's got KFTV merch, and he's rocking a Buzz City jersey, man.
Nah, come on.
I was disappointed to see that, man.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
Definitely.
But man, that schedule has been awful. That schedule has been awful. Awful. It's been tough. It's been tough. So the combo of the schedule, the West Coast trip, Jalen out, we can't dismiss these things. Now, this doesn't account for the bench and all that stuff, but these are major factors. These are major factors.
Can't overlook it, man. Shout out some more super chat. CP the Fanchise, the great Ariel Helwani is back in the building, man. This is Knicks therapy. We had to get back and have a come to a group session here with the family. So salute to everybody that's on the lunchtime grind on a Friday. Work can wait. We got to talk about these Knicks and see how we, recalibrate the gauges, if you will. Shout out to Rels, franchise channel member. Rels, welcome to the team. My 2 cents, always in here, franchise channel member as well, says, this is the stress test this squad needs to find that grit. This squad has not been through it together. Need it if they're going to take it to the next step. It's a fair point. Fair point by my 2 cents. Shout out to KC. $5 super chat says, I don't understand why you don't go get Marcus Morris. He's familiar with the team and he's a dog. He can score. He can play small ball 5 and D. I don't know what happened when, they brought him in for camp and then they got rid of him. So maybe there's bad blood there. That ship has sailed. You can't even bring him back at this point. So yeah, that ship has sailed. We do have a call on the Discord. Mevan3229. Mevan, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good, man. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Calling in from Harlem. You're into the vibes. You know what I'm saying? Big New York. Yeah.
Yep.
I've got so many things to say, but I'm going to try to keep it as short as I possibly can.
Okay.
It's so precious. Number one, the man is lost. I've never seen the snafu with Josh Hart and the 2-on-1 yesterday was ridiculous.
Crazy, bro. Crazy.
Crazy. Like, the man looked like he was spaced out. Like, I know it's a family show, but the man looked high. Like, I swear. Like, he turned around, eyes wide open, like, huh?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. And to be honest, I mean, there was a time period where Huck Porty was getting, a little bit more of a push than he was. So I don't know if maybe that made him probably hit his confidence. And the only reason why we don't necessarily see it now is because Huck Porty's been hurt. But Huck Porty started being pushed above pressure. So I don't know. Like, maybe that's there. Maybe he knows that he's on his way out. Also, I'm also locked in all 82. All 82, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it don't make a difference. All 82. All right. Granted, we gonna be tight. We gonna be mad. All right. We gonna be sick when we see, the Knicks losing by 15, 20, 30 by these teams that are basically trash. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the Cavs lost to the Kings, who we beat. Like, and they lost back-to-back games, right? They didn't score more than 119 points. Mm-hmm. Nobody's breaking. Like, nobody's hurt. Like, it's that time of year. People going to lose a little bit. Nobody's going to win all 82 games. Let's stay locked in. Let's allow Jalen to come back. Mitch is still getting revved up. And the more he increases his playing time, the better that we do. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not too worried about that. It's very hard
frustrating
to watch.
Yeah.
It's just hard to watch.
Yeah, I dig it, man. Hey, we had to watch that on back-to-back nights and appreciate the call, Mevan. He was trying to call in last night. We had a packed show of angry Knicks fans. But, yeah, he's right. He's right, man. Got to keep the faith, man. All 82.
It's hard to watch, by the way, because we know they could be so much better, right? It's just frustrating. It's like they're playing in quicksand, and there's no camaraderie. It seems like, and that's what we were sold on, like the vibes, the camaraderie, the boys, their friends, this and that. So that's what makes it so frustrating. But I listen. Every season there isn't a single season where there isn't a rough patch, and this is our rough patch. This is it.
This is it.
And oh, by the way, I hate to keep bringing it up. Our best player is in there. He's not there. He's injured. He hasn't been there for 2 weeks. You can't ignore that, guys.
As we look towards the future and the playoffs, there's a lot been made this week in terms of potential opponents. Knicks sitting in the third spot at 43-26. Then you have the Pacers, who are 3 games back. You have the Bucks, who are 4 games back of the Knicks, but 1 game back of the Pacers. And then the Pistons are right there, half game back of the Bucks and a game and a half back of the Pacers. So if you had to rank these teams, Ariel, Pacers, Bucks, Pistons, how do you rank those in terms of potential first-round opponents for the Knicks?
So the Pistons are great, and I know that a lot of people. I know the cool thing to say right now is that the Pistons will beat the Knicks in the first round. That's the cool thing to say. That's what the national media wants to say.
Sure.
For the most part, they've never been here before. This is all very new to them. I think we beat them in the first round. I'm not necessarily. I say bring on the Pistons, no problem. And by the way, it hasn't been great against the Pistons this year. We had that one game at the beginning of the year where we blew them out in Detroit, but then they've come to New York twice and it's been awful. But they've been close games. I think we beat the Pistons, and I'd love to beat Tim Hardaway Jr. Yeah, that's right. I said it.
Because his dad's gonna be there, so that's like a double win. I'm with you on that. I feel you on that.
The Bucks have Giannis, and when you have a superstar like that, it always kind of makes me nervous. They're not terribly, they're not very intimidating. But you got Giannis, you got Dame. I'd rather not play them. I would love to stick it back to the Pacers. I would love to give them, what they gave us last year, a little revenge, a little humble pie. But I also think, by the way, that the Pacers aren't as bad as people make them out to be. Like they've got some streaky shooters. They've got some players. They've risen to the occasion. And by the way, they're healthier this year than they were last year. They have Benedict. And by the way, this is a pet peeve of mine. It's a French name, so it's Mathurin. It's not Mathurin. It's a French name. It's Mathurin, the pride of Montreal. Benedict Mathurin. You have to say and by the way, it's not Thibodeau. It's Thibodeau. It's a French name, Thibodeau. The TH is a T. It's not a th. These things piss me off. By the way, it's not Mark Daignault. It's Mark Dagnon. These are French names.
No one has ever said that. No, no one has ever pronounced his last
they say
name like that.
Daignault or something,
right?
Right?
They say Diagnault.
No, it's a French name, Dagnon. Yeah, it's like the GN is almost like a Y. It's like a Dagnon.
Yeah.
So
like
educate
that,
yourself.
A little French lesson here by Ariel Helwani, man.
But the Thibs one kills me. It's Thibodeau. It's a French name. Thibodeau, Tibbs.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know how I got down that path.
Yeah.
So if I were to rank them, and is one the one I want to, I'll
Yes.
take like. So I'll go Pistons, Pacers, Bucks, and I think that might surprise some people. What do you think?
I'm with you on the Pistons in that, yes, they are the hot team, and they deserve a lot of credit. They deserve a lot of respect. JB Bickerstaff's done a great job. Trajan Langdon's done a great job in bringing those vets, and Cade is certainly on a rocket. He's hitting that superstar stratosphere, so they've been a great story. However, I think they have a lot to prove in the playoffs, from JB Bickerstaff on down to the inexperience of these Pistons, because when it comes to playoff time, that's when experience and star power is going to kick in. And outside of Cade, I don't trust Tobias Harris. I don't trust Timmy. I don't trust Malik Beasley to get it done in big spots. Yeah. They'll be tough. They'll be gritty, that's been their identity all year. And Cade, hey, you get into a tight game, Cade might be able to win it for you. But I think overall, that's where I lean on the Knicks. Their experience, their star power from their front five, with McBride and Mitch coming off the bench, I think they're just going to be way too strong for the Pistons. And you look, Cade has been killing everybody, but I think the one wild card that the Knicks do have is that the adjustment that Tibbs makes in these late game situations is putting OG on the best player. And I do believe that OG will play a factor in neutralizing Cade, or at least limiting him by being physical, using his length, using his anticipation skills to make it very tough on Cade Cunningham. I also don't believe that the Pistons' three-point offense is one that will really bother the Knicks as much as many teams have. Like, a lot of teams have that firepower that can just watch the Knicks out the gym. I don't think the Pistons are that team. So for those reasons, I'm going with them at 1. I'm going to go with the Bucks at 2.
Yeah.
Even though the star power of Giannis and Dame, you can't overlook that. Because as I said, in the playoffs, those things are very important. And Giannis is a guy, he's a game wrecker. He can wreck the game on both ends of the floor. Dame is another clutch player. And however, I think the Knicks still have those advantages against the Bucks, especially when the Bucks are defending, where, how are they going to put Brook Lopez out there against Karl Anthony Towns? The three-point shooting potential of the Knicks when they're at full strength. Do they switch in and go to Portis in those spots? And they've got a little interesting offense now with the additions of Kyle Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr. The bench has gotten a little bit deeper, but I still think the Knicks can put the Bucks away. The Pacers is interesting, man, because number one, Halliburton he's on a rocket right now. He's playing very, very well. He's averaging 20 and 11 since January. He's been going crazy. Pacers themselves have been going crazy. They're at 24 and 11 since the beginning of the year. So they're vastly improved, and I think the combination of their pace, their offense, and their depth could be an issue for the Knicks. From Halliburton to Siakam, all the guys that they have, plus the three-point shooting big in Miles Turner, I think that could be another problem. Even though I want revenge, I do think that could be another difficult matchup for the Knicks when you factor in their athleticism and their offensive capability. I think that could be a bit of an issue for the Knicks.
Yeah, all three matchups present problems. I don't know, as you said, the Pistons are, I think, a game out. For some reason, I feel, I don't know, there's a part of me that feels like it's going to be the Pistons or the Bucks. Yeah, and I agree. Honestly, I think the team that is most talented of the three is the Pacers, or are the Pacers, and I would rather not face a team like that in the first round. They've won before. They've had our number. We always tend to have battles with them as well. None of it is great. And then, of course, to me, it's almost like the bigger question, do you want to play the Cavs in the second round or the Celtics in the second round? If we get to the second round, let's just play that game. I don't know what the answer is there either. Maybe the Cavs because they're a little less experienced. Cavs. Right? Cavs?
Yeah, I got to go Cavs. Matchup-wise, even though the Cavs' depth and their shooting ability, matchup-wise, the Boston thing is just when they're they're the champs. Right?
So you'd rather us be a 4 or 5?
4. I don't care if we get to 4. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah. I'm not dodging anybody, but all I'm saying is if we get to 4, I'm comfortable. I'm good. Yeah. Play the kids, man. Give both champs a minute. Josh Hart, give him a night off. Let him go home, stay home with the family, play some Fortnite, whatever. They need a reset, man. They need a reset, a mental and physical reset.
I don't think it's coming, though.
No, that's a problem.
It's not coming.
It's not.
So we could say it all we want. He is who he is. He's not going to change his ways.
But the thing is that from the top down, everybody knows there should be an organizational meeting here.
I know. Is he seeing something about Kolek? How is there no one saying yo?
I'm sure he does. If I don't think his first option is to go to campaign every night. But in a desperate attempt to win.
Is he seeing something that's alarming about Kolek? Because every time I see him play, he's like a freaking bulldog out there. I love him.
Yeah. I don't think. I'd rather him out there just to see what he can do. Yeah. But I think the coach knows he's not ready right now.
Yeah. So I'd like to trust that as well. We could say all we want from here, but I'd like to trust that he's seeing things that, he has to think are best for the team. He was playing Huck Porty there. Huck Porty started, right? The game that he got injured, he started.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Any word on his comeback?
No, I haven't heard yet.
There hasn't been much.
It was a 1-month recovery, so maybe it's creeping up on playoff time.
If there's a world again, we hardly had JB and Mitch. If there's a world where we have Mitch coming off the bench, we have McBride coming off the bench, and we have Huck Porty coming off the bench. Shamet, he seems to like Shamet, so he's going to give us some minutes.
Yeah, but he's a brick, man.
Yeah, I know.
Wide open threes. He's bricking everything.
It's tough. It's tough.
Tough, man. Let's get into you, man. The Uncrowned, like I said in the opening of the show, your own wing with Yahoo Sports. So let's talk mogul talk, man. Let's talk boss talk. What has that feeling been like, man, since the last August when you guys unveiled your partnership with Yahoo Sports? What's the experience been like?
So I appreciate that. Thank you. Obviously, I look up to the Pat McAfees of the world, the Dan Lebitars of the world, the Dan Patricks of the world, the Rich Eisens of the world, the Bill Simmons of the world, and I was always kind of moving towards this thing where I would own, my content, because in the past, I'm working for ESPN, I'm working for Vox Media, I'm working for The Ringer, and I'm working for other people building up their platforms, building up their feeds and whatnot. And so I felt like I was finally in a position, I had the right people around me, I had the right teammates around me to be able to go all in and own the content, own the IP, and license it and partner up with a major outlet and do it the way we want to do it. And as my contracts were coming to an end in August, I was able to speak to almost everyone under the sun, and we came down to like 4 really good opportunities. And what I loved about Yahoo was, just like our beloved Knicks, they were a once very proud franchise that maybe hit some lean years, and then I think got the right people in the front office, the right people involved to turn them around, and they've really been doing some great things over the past year and a half or so, ever since they brought a man named Ryan Spoon over, who I happened to work with at ESPN. So I felt like it was a great fit, and the other thing that I loved about it was I didn't want to just only build the shows and the YouTube channel and all that. I wanted a place where there was great writing, great reporting, great journalism as well, and that's the website. And so it's sort of like our Grantland to their ESPN, if you will. And we've got great writers covering MMA, boxing, and pro wrestling, and then we'll dabble a little bit in bare knuckle, kickboxing. Trying to just make it a great home for all things combat sports, journalism, reporting, talk, all that stuff. And yeah, we started in October. It's great to be, it's great to be the leader. It's great to be the captain. This is what I've always wanted to be. This is what I've always strived for. And I get to work with great people who are just as bought in and as into it and loyal to what we're doing as I am. And here we are. So it kind of feels like it's all coming together. It's a grind. We're building it up from the ground up. And, there's challenges in that regard as well. But this is what I asked for. This is what I wanted. And so here we are.
That's dope. So basically, from Yahoo Sports perspective, from the relationship with Ryan Spoon, the investments, and almost having like a 360 distribution in terms of the type of formats, you just felt like that was a better fit than the other offers that you were fielding, basically.
Because there were a couple things missing, but they really gave us everything. And, they have a great studio space in the city near Union Square. And so there was a lot of things already in place, and a lot of support already in place. But the best part has been, like, they trust us and me wholeheartedly, and they've just kind of like let us do our thing. There's no one weighing in. There's no one, hey, what about this? What about that? The look of the show, the feel of the show, the content, like, it is just us. And it's a dream. Like, if you would have told me 20 years ago that this would be my life, that this would be my day-to-day, I would have signed up 1,000 times. So it's great. I'm still, I don't want to just be known as the combat guy. I love combat sports, but I love other things as well. I got to cover the Olympics this past summer for CBC in Canada, and working on some other things as well. I don't want to just be known as the combat guy. I'm very happy and proud for that to be the bread and butter, but I get very excited. I was doing Real Sports with HBO before that shut down, and I was doing things for Showtime and all that. So,
The Zone. You're still doing The Zone, right?
Zone, yes. But that's boxing. But yes, that is great.
Sure.
So I get to do that. But that's a big thing for me. Not to, even though this takes up so much time and energy, I don't want to just be known as the combat guy, because I think that I can offer a lot in other domains.
Well, you're very versatile, so it certainly fits you, man. So you're definitely doing a great job in terms of scaling up and team building. That's always something that I'm working on my side. What did you take from building up the MMA hour with the previous stop, and what did you take to Yahoo Sports in terms of like scaling up and building your team?
Yeah, so one thing that I'm very proud of is that, we created like 20 to 25 jobs for people in media, for my friends, for my colleagues, new people as well. And so in this day and age, as you know, not easy, from the writing, from the production, from on air. I was extremely proud of that. And I've had the opportunity now to work for a lot of different outlets and networks, and I kind of feel like I know how people want to be treated, how people want to be talked to, and I pride myself on being in tune with how people are feeling, and not being the big bad wolf, being sensitive, being empathetic, listening, but also pushing and striving for the best results possible. So I feel when I left ESPN in 2021, I thought about doing this. I'm happy I didn't, because I didn't have the pieces in place. I didn't have the relationships. I didn't have the teammates. But 3 years later, 3 years after I left ESPN, when it was time to look to the new chapter, I felt like I had it all. And it's a dream come true. This is what I've always wanted. I wanted to own my content. I wanted to own my work, and I wanted to partner up with people that understood what I was all about. And I wanted to work with people like I'm a big foxhole guy. I'm a big guy like you have my back, I will have your back forever. And there are people that I've worked with now for 10 to 15 years who are still with me, who I'll do anything for, and I feel a responsibility to bring them along with me when I move on to another thing or level up or whatever. And I'm very happy to be able to do that.
Timing is everything, just as you said. My guy John Jones. What's the next big fight for my guy John Jones, man? We're going to clear through the politics. Who's he going to fight next?
Well, they want him to fight Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
And there's negotiations going. He wants a lot of money to do that, and I say that he deserves all that money. Tom is actually the interim UFC heavyweight champion. John is the undisputed champion. He won back in November. He defended the title against Stipe Miocic. And actually, Tom and the UFC brass are meeting this week in London. There's an event tomorrow in London, hopefully to get some answers. But the clock is ticking here. John wants a lot of money. The UFC doesn't want to quite meet him at that number. It's in the range of 30 mil, and that's a lot, but he deserves it. He 1,000% deserves it. But if they're not going to pay him, I hope that they can move on, because Tom Aspinall is young and is an incredible talent, and John has had his incredible run as well, his Hall of Fame run, one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. It's an amazing thing, but I don't want it to hold back Tom Aspinall. Like, this guy deserves to have his own career too. So I hope they make a decision soon. I hope they pay him, and if not, I hope that Tom is able to become the heavyweight champion, and they're able to get him a fight soon, because he's been sitting out for way too long.
Yeah. Good points there, man. Well, listen, man, I definitely appreciate this conversation. As I said, it's always timely when you come on the show, and it's always an insightful show. A good conversation, good therapy.
Come on, guys. Positive. We're going to get through this. The Garden's going to be rocking. Support our boys. They hear it. They feel it. And they're a little down right now, but you don't kick them when they're down. You try to lift them up. And so that's how we can help the guys. And I believe that good things are coming. So let's go.
There we go. My guy, Ariel Helwani, in the building. Thanks again, bro. I definitely appreciate it, man. Enjoy the weekend.
You too.
All right. That was our guy, Ariel Helwani, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Hey, man, another quality KFTV production. Let me get on the other side. Oh, what happened to my camera here, man? Hang on. There we go. Make sure you guys support our sponsors, man, at SeatGeek. Hey, the Knicks are taking on the Wizards at MSG on Saturday, man. So make sure you guys get your tickets. My guys at SeatGeek will have you guys covered. And use our code, man. Use our code KFTV10 for 10% off your order. I'm trying to get my IG situated here. Salute to my guys at IG. Hang on. Let me hit the reset button here. Okay, there we go, IG. I see you guys now. All right, yeah. So shout out to our sponsors at SeatGeek, man. Number one rated ticketing app of KnicksFanTV. Get your tickets. 10% off, man. Hey, Knick tickets are only going to be going up between now and into the playoffs. So make sure that you go get your seats. KFTV10 is the code, and you'll be good to go there, man. All right, so great conversation, man. Shout out to my guy, Ariel. Always delivers. So we get a little Knicks talk We gotta talk media mogul talk, man. My guy's doing a damn thing. He's killing in the game right now. Super proud of him, man, and an inspiration for all of us content creators, man. Blazing the trail, as he talked about. Ownership. Don't forget it, man. Shout out to Anthony Parasol in the chat, my franchise channel members on the grind. Jay from the Lou, Rhyme Animal, Chuck D, Fabian Aramaris, salute. John Talento, Thomas Dennery, always in here. Lee Blocks, I'm checking in from the UK, my UK gang, salute to you guys. Australia, salute to you. Rare Edition, happy Friday. Isaac Blancafor, I see you in here, my 2 cents. Always appreciate it. Daniel Beausejour in here. I appreciate you guys, man. P. McGee, Eddie Suarez, salute. And we in here, man. Salute to you guys once again. Shout out to SeatGeek. Everybody on the Facebook side. Benji JM, salute. Nelson Carolina Contreras, I see you. Frank DeStefano, Therese Cotton. I see you guys in there. Jacob Dillio, and I see you guys in there. All right. Well, that was that, man. Great show as usual. Hey, man, get your KFTV merch, your snaps, your tees. KnicksFanTV.com is the place to be. And we will see you guys tomorrow night for postgame, play-by-play, and postgame, man. See you guys tomorrow night. Peace.